Hey, how you guys doing? This is Neil, the art instructor at masterpaintnow.com and Udemy. Also best-selling author of How to Draw Awesome Figures at Amazon. I'm going to be showing you guys how I do a storyboard. In this case, it's going to be for a 30-second trailer for the book Bending Nature. Being in my girlfriend's name, Samantha Stone. She helped me out with it to get all the female aspects right. Publishing it under Samantha Stone. We decided to do it in her name because it's a female protagonist. So, right. Anyway, so how the commercial is going to go, or I guess trailer, it's really what it is. 30 seconds. So how I have it mapped out is I write out little notes to myself, and these also notes will also help the animator. I could animate myself, but it's just going to take way too long. And I think I'm going to do both a 3D animation and 2D animation and see what I like best. And anyway, so Julie, basically I write that Julie sits by Michael, the statue, as three men in the background walk through double glass doors inside a museum in 5 seconds. Then I break it down to each individual shot in numbers. So number 1, wide shot of scene. Number 2, close up of Julie. Number 3, close up of men walking. Because you want to add interest to what it is you're looking at. Now what someone that's just beginning out in animation might do is just have the wide establishing shot, and the whole entire time you have the voiceover of Julie Sparks saying, "I never thought it would happen this way. Love is strange." They would just draw that the whole thing would happen, so you'd have the whole scene. So let's go ahead and do the establishing shot here. So how I do it is I'm just going to do little squares or rectangles. I want to draw my screenshots wide. Now I could use the built-in mechanics of, actually, maybe I should do perfect squares. Make it a little bit easier to see. So in this case, I'm just going to do a rectangle, and I'm not going to make them very big. And I want to make sure they're kind of like widescreen looking, because that's the format that it's going to be put on YouTube in. So I'm going to draw them the way it's going to appear. I'm going to go ahead and go to outline selection, just do it with 1 pixel, and there you have it. Now I can take that layer, and since I'm going to have many different scenes, I already know exactly how many I'm going to have. So I can go ahead and mark these down. Now once you have 2 marked down, you can then merge those together. And then you just copy that by dragging it, left clicking, dragging down to this icon to make a new raster. And now I have 4. And then I can merge those together and make it to where now I can zoom out. And now I have 8. And then I can merge those together and put that down. I think that's all I need. If I need more, I can make more. But there you have it. It's a quick way to do it. I'm not too worried about if they match up perfectly. I'm going to lock that layer, and I'm going to work on another layer here, and this will be a black layer just to show that I'm sketching on that layer, drawing, or inking. That's what I use black for. Right, so the establishing shot, I want it to be where you have Michael. So Michael is on some sort of platform. I was thinking maybe a round platform. This will also be kind of easier for the animator to draw. And then Michael's standing here. He's a big winged statue, and I want him to be mostly in the shot. Julie will probably be sitting somewhere in this area here, and I think maybe sideways would be kind of cool, like this, or not exactly sideways, but 3/4 view. And she's just kind of looking up at Michael. Actually, maybe in this case her attention is already over at the men, so maybe she's kind of like suspiciously looking in that direction. And let's see here, so her upper body, and then I don't know, this arm is just down right here on the thing, and this arm is kind of like this or something. No, it doesn't look good. And in this case, I want to direct my animator as much as possible, because unless the animator is really, really good and knows how to establish shots and all that, and is really good at cinematography, and if you know that you're better than that person, you might as well play the cinematographer. So in this case, I'm micromanaging. I'm playing the cinematography, or I'm playing the cinematographer. So hair here. And I'm keeping it very, very simple at this stage. This is enough for him to see like what's happening. That's all that needs to happen here. Maybe her other hand is kind of like as if she's pointing out that way, like, hey, like, what are you guys doing here type of thing, because they're not supposed to be in the museum. They're actually here to try to steal Michael. Michael is going to be about the same height. He's a real life size statue. I'm going to have him have this kind of wide pose here. and broad chest. No one knows where Michael came from. Just a statue that one day mysteriously appeared. Now, as you see me go through this quick sketch thing. Now again, this doesn't have to be like exactly what it's going to look like. This is just you know, an idea so that he knows what to do for the establishing shot. In the background here, I'm going to have this just kind of straight. You can make it, maybe you can even make it at an angle. This will be the double doors. I want to be able to show though in this establishing shot. I want to be able to see. Actually, we'll have these kind of metal things on the glass doors. Maybe the glass doors should be a little bit higher. I'm not really worried about perspective. All that's for the animator to do and figure out. This is just for he knows like the cinematography, how I want everything to come to to come forward. He might have a different cool pose, and I could even put notes saying, hey, make him have a cool pose. I don't feel like working it out right now. Some sort of cool like buff statue pose. Right. Anyway, so then these men have to be on the other side of this door here. Maybe one of them is like already opening or about to open it. And his hand's going to be coming down like this. And his other hand's down by his side, and he's holding duffel bag. They're wearing Armani suits, but that's all in the notes. I don't have to have that. I don't have to draw all that. Right, so he's kind of walking through, and there's three other men, so you see the three of them, and I want to make sure that they're kind of overlapping. And in fact, I want the boss probably to be the biggest of them all, so let's have one more back here and have him be shorter. And another one over here. Notice I'm keeping things very, very simple, basic shapes, just enough to like you can tell that there's men back there. All right, so it's kind of hard to see now that I have this man, in the foreground here. So I might want to fix that up just a little bit so that it's clear what it is we're looking at. The man here in the foreground. I'll make sure I establish his look so he takes up. So I'll go ahead. I'll give him the big shoulders as well. Arm coming down here. Arm coming down there. Hand, duffel bag. I'll make sure I make this all dark so it's very clear to see. And then one leg coming out as he's walking. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to make it simple for now because there's no reason to even show me that. They try to show they're walking. Let's show that they're standing there and they're on the other side of the glass door. This will be in the notes that they're on the other side and they're walking through the doors. That way the artist understands what's going on. And that's pretty much it. So that's establishing shots. So this will only appear for like maybe a second or two. And so all these shots are happening with the voiceover, and the voiceover takes about 5 seconds to say. In fact, I can time it right now. Let's see. Let's go. I'll wait till the seconds. I never thought it would happen this way. Love is strange. So that took 4 seconds. So it's gonna be about 4 to 5 seconds for this to play out, and all this is playing out as that voiceover is happening, which is Julie's voice. Now I could actually type the numbers, but this is gonna be easier for me just to write them out here. All right, so in this shot now, I want a close up of Julie. So now I gotta imagine. Okay, so how much of a close up do I want of Julie? Maybe like here's her head, and then so her body, and then maybe some of her lower body down like that. And so really, we're just gonna be kind of seeing her reaction. So I could there's a couple ways I can show this. I can kind of show it like as if we're still in the same scene and the camera hasn't really moved. It's just kind of zoomed in on her. and she's kind of like looking over at the men. Or I can make it to where it's more of close-up of her reaction to the men, and then the close-up of the men walking. Let's see here. One of the men tossed a rope over Michael. Michael is a statue. So yeah. So I think that I still got to think this through. I almost wonder if just a close-up of her reacting might work better than if I do it this way. It kind of establishes more of what she's looking at. And then she'd be looking past Michael's legs. So Michael's legs would be kind of in the background, but they'd still be. Let's just try this out real fast. So let's say Michael's waist is kind of in the background here, and you can kind of still see some of his legs coming down. I got to think of how far his legs come down, right about here, like so. So they wouldn't be fully in the shot, but they'd be somewhat in the shot like that. That looks dumb. There's a lot of things you got to think of, you know, when you're doing storyboarding as a cinematographer. And you got to think about how you're going to establish what it is exactly you're looking at. So her arms actually going off of. You're trying to establish many things. You don't want to go too outside. How do I word this? Like you can't confuse the viewer with what it is they're seeing. So you have to make sure that, hey, it's relatable what's happening. So when you switch from this shot, you need that establishing shot so we know where we're at and what's happening. You do the same thing in writing, but then we need some sort of her reaction. It's boring if an amateur that's doing animation will just do the whole shot right here. This will be the whole shot. They'll show the men walking through, maybe show her moving a little bit in reaction, like maybe raising her arm up as they're walking through, like hey, like as she's reacting to it. And then the voiceover is, I never thought it would happen this way. Love is strange. And that would be the whole entire 5 seconds. 5 seconds of them, this shot right here, of them walking through. I'm going to break up in 3 shots to make it more interesting. And so now we're kind of getting her reaction here as she's looking over in this direction. Like, hey, what the hell are you guys doing? That's funny, and say something more like that. And maybe we don't even see. I don't think we'd be able to see the doors and the men walking, so it's just her reaction. And I don't know if I like that. Well, you can see kind of Michael in the background still. So maybe. Yeah, you know what? Instead, I think I'm going to go with this here. I'm going to do something. All right, so let's don't do that. So you got to try different things out, think about it, try different things out, see if it's going to work. I think I'm going to just have a close-up of her face here. And maybe it's still kind of, maybe it's a 3/4 view of her face. No, I'd rather have it be like a front view of her face. So now we're looking this way, so we're seeing what's behind over here. So we won't be able to see Michael or anything like that behind her. But really just want kind of a blurry, kind of abstract background anyway, especially if you're actually drawing 2D animation. If it's 3D animation, you still kind of want to blur out the background of that room there. That also means it's more of the set that the person has to build, so that's something I have to think about. So if they want to, they can maybe do a close-up and just have her have turned or something like that, so different background. Anyway, so I want her kind of like like that kind of like face on her. Just to show their mouth is slightly open. I have no idea exactly what kind of hair Julie has. I never really describe it in the novel. I don't micromanage. I let people visualize what they look like. It's the unfortunate thing about doing a trailer is once you kind of have a visualization, of a book, once you do a book trailer, you now have a visualization of the characters, and that's what people are going to imagine, most likely. But I think a trailer is a good idea. Right, so she's kind of like that, like, huh, what are you guys doing? All right, so, and still we have the voiceover that's happening. And so all this is happening during the voiceover. And maybe I can even write, what words, it doesn't really matter. We know that these needs to take place, during the voiceover. I can, say how many seconds. I know how many seconds it takes for the voiceover. These three things need to happen during that voiceover, and it has to kind of have a smooth transition between them as well. Transition takes time, so I'll leave that to the animator. Just know that, hey, these are the three shots that need to take place during that voiceover. The last shot is a close-up of the men walking now. So now we have a close-up of the doors. This door has opened, so you can see maybe the top of it. It's thin, it's glass. Maybe we'll see some of that, the top part of that. Oops, that's the wrong angle. Actually, I got to keep it with the same angles I have up there. My bad. Yeah, that's like the little handle thing that you can see through the glass. Anyway, so then we have, I don't know if I want it to be that high up. No, let's not make it that high up. Okay, so I got to think about, I'm going to draw them in first, and then I'll think about I'm going to draw how much of the men I want to be able to see. I don't know if I want a full shot of them walking or just a half shot of them walking. So we'll have them, the leader obviously is in the front. And I don't want him, so I don't want him to take up exactly the middle of the screen, because I want him to occupy this, like, that tic-tac-toe idea of composition. So I'm thinking maybe like that, and his arm's coming out this way because he's opened the door, and this arm's coming down by his side because he's holding his duffel bag. And then maybe there's one man here, he's a little bit shorter. Now I can have the doors, so the doors will be a little bit taller than they are. This will be like that. Double doors, so the door is opening. Maybe I can have the door here. So he's partly walking through one of the doors here that's being opened. And it's like, gotta think about the door. If the door is like down about that long, that's the ground. I'm just trying to think off a screen here. I can also think about maybe whether the shot should be kind of an up shot or kind of a down shot, things like that as well. Usually don't use up and down shots too often though. Anyway, whatever. Other man over here in the background more. And then I think that, yeah, I'll leave the door out of this shot. You can't even see that door anymore. So just the men are walking. Maybe you see, trying to think if they can see the doorway. You can't even see the doorway because it's too close. So I think that works. This guy's buffer. Oops. Easier just for me to go like that with the red thing over there, get back where I was. Right, that is shot 3. Right, so all that happens in the first voiceover. Right, so all that's linked together. Okay, then I have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3 more shots, and then another 3, and then another 8, and another 7. Okay. That's kind of a lot of little drawings I have to draw. And so that's how I do it. So that's how I consider that particular scene. So the scene is simply a voiceover, and what the scene is that, hey, there is establishing shot, and there's three men that are walking through glass doors, and this right here is just to represent them walking through the glass door. So he can actually have the camera zoomed out a little bit further, and then kind of zoom in on them as they're walking through the doors, or maybe even have kind of I think a front shot would look cool of them walking through the doors instead of I could do it over their shoulder, like behind them, and show them walking into the museum, and then I can show them, but I'm really stuck on time here, and I've already established that, hey, they're walking through the doors here. The animation starts showing them, shows her reaction, then shows them as they're continue to walk into the doors. Now the next scene that happens I got to think about too, though, and that is one of the men tosses a rope over Michael. Michael's a statue, so I'm cutting from them walking through the door here to now, the men are standing by the statue, and one of the men is going to be throwing a throwing a rope over Michael. And so I think it's enough that, hey, they're walking through the door, she's reacting, they're here, and then now they're standing by Michael. So the next one needs to be an establishing shot. And this is going to be labeled back as one again because it's kind of all the same scene, but it's a different segment of shots that how I link them together. I guess I can put four so they know them going together. I just can link them together like that with either with colors or something else to show, or this, with notes. Right, so in 4, I need to establish now that the men are by Michael. So to do that, I'm going to have Michael, the man standing by Michael. So maybe I can actually have similar to the opening shot here, but now the men are standing by Michael. It's a little bit closer. And if I don't want to redraw Michael, actually I kind of want it at a different angle though, maybe. So maybe the man is like, maybe Michael is like here. It's a little bit closer shot, and then kind of I'm trying to imagine like a 3/4 view here of Michael and his arm out like this, coming toward us, his hand doing whatever it's doing in this pose. Just one thing that's cool about the 3D animation is that once you have the characters built, all you really have to worry about doing is taking these shots and making them happen. So you just take the camera and put a different camera angle. Everything else is done as far as Michael goes. Michael hasn't moved yet, so. But if you're a traditional animator, like doing it with either whatever, some sort of animation program, doesn't really matter which one you're using, but you're doing it in traditional, either frame by frame or puppeteering, whatever. You have to actually imagine all this yourself. That you don't have a 3D program to do that for you. Now you could kind of put it in a 3D program first, like just use something like Poser just to get a general idea. Well, what would it look like if he were standing in this way? But with 3D, it's a lot easier to do that because you don't have to imagine all this stuff. With something like this, you have to imagine, well, what does everything look like? This wing is kind of coming toward us a little bit like this. And then maybe you have the man standing here, like maybe it's like kind of over his shoulder. So this man here is, remember, Michael is like he's up on a thing, so he's taller than the man. And also if we're kind of at an angle here anyway, and I'm thinking maybe kind of an over the shoulder shot would look cool here. So it's kind of a 3/4 view back shot here. And he's getting ready to throw this rope, so I'm going to show the rope in his hand. And it's coming down here. I don't know if that's arm, just back like that. I think that could work. Just trying to think if that's how I want the rope. Make it clear it's rope. All right, so anyway, that's what I would continue doing as I would continue on with this process here. And next would be the close-up of man tossing the rope. And the reason I need to establish that, they're after they walk in the door that he's close to Michael. I might even have to have a better establishing shot than this. Maybe this can be the second shot, that is the close-up of the man tossing the rope, and I can actually show the rope being tossed. And so I can take this in here and move it because I want this to be the fifth shot. Because I think that if I just jump from here, like these three shots, and then jump from here, it'll be a little disorienting, like what just happened? How do we get from where we were to here? So instead, what I want to do is I want to actually show them all further away. So in this case, I think we need to have Michael, we need to have the man here, and then like Julie, like as if she already got up and she's kind of responding to them because she's about to say, hey, you can't do that when she sees him throw the rope over Michael. And so maybe she's like over here and she's kind of responding now. So she's somewhere in this area here. Oops. I'm gonna draw her outside the thing for a second. She's not like very big breasted. Ah, amazing, huh? I don't always draw big breasted women. Something like this. Again, the point is just you can go to more detail than this, but this is really, I just need enough information between the notes and this for him to actually see what it is I want him to draw. And then maybe we have Michael here in that kind of same 3/4 view. And to save time, I could even take Michael here, just so I don't have to kind of like resketch him. Since it's still kind of the same angle, and he's obviously going to be taller like that. So yeah, it'll be a little bit more visible of Michael here, but for the most part, it's really the same thing. So coming out like that, that's behind. Michael's arm and hand coming down. I can erase some of that. Why is it not? Okay, I was wondering, I felt like I wasn't drawing. That's his legs coming down there. And then maybe the man, maybe I can even zoom out further than that. Yeah, I think I can. I want this even zoomed further out. So I really want to be able to see more of her. Okay, actually that's on a different layer. Let me erase that or go back. And then I need to drop this down first to the other layer. There we go. Now I can stretch the whole thing out. Come on. Clicking here. So let's zoom this whole thing out. I want to be able to see more of her, Michael, something more like this here. Yeah, more of establishing. This will establish more from like how they got from the doors. Now they're over here. And I need to have that a little bit lower. Oops, can't lower the whole thing. Ah, come on. Didn't change tools for some reason. Let's go ahead and just, no, I don't need to do that anymore. All I need to do is lower it. Lower him down to about here. All right, so now we can have her here. Maybe her legs are out like this. And this arm's back. Her hand's like balled up in a fist. She's kind of getting pissed because she loves the statue. She comes to work early just to spend time with it. Maybe we'll see part of that base that goes around him, the middle part, and then there's another bigger part, I think maybe like that we can't really see. And then let's see, the man will be like right here. And I think it'll be more of a side view than an actual back view, but still kind of a 3/4 back view, side view kind of look to him here. And I'll demonstrate, I'll express that rather by maybe he's got the rope in his hand here. He's getting ready to toss it. Right, so that kind of establishes the scene a little bit more. I'd like to number them just so they can see what order they go in. Right, so now we have it happening in a good order. And then the next one would be close-up of men walking. All right, so I gotta get going, so let's go ahead and finish this up here. I'm going to redraw that rope. And so it's gonna start big here, kind of thicker, and then get thinner as it goes back in space, and starting to wrap around him like that. Like he's throwing it to wrap around him. I think it has one of those little hook things so he's gonna hook up to it and stuff. Right, and then the next shot would be back to them. So it's back to the shot of Michael and the rope, but now the rope's around Michael. So now it would be showing the rope all the way around Michael, and a picture of the man and Michael, and then maybe even her, because the next shot after that is that she's like, hey, you can't do that. And that is over the shoulder of Julie. And we can also see the man that was holding the rope. So that would be this frame over here. So we'd see Julie over her shoulder, and then we'd see the man reacting to her saying, well, at least she starts to say, hey, you can't do that. And then as she's saying, you can't do that, right before she finishes saying that, the next shot is over the man, and he shoves her back as she's saying that. And then the close-up 3 is a close-up of her falling on her butt. So either already on her butt or just falling on her butt, just like literally like a second animation of just partially falling on her butt. Yeah, so that would be it. So that's how I like to storyboard. I like to really think about the camera angles, think about how I can best tell the story, how to make it most cinematic, and using different cinematic techniques. And obviously lighting is gonna be a big issue, or not a big issue necessarily, but it's something that I really want to pay a lot of attention to. And I can maybe do little thumbnail paintings to kind of show how I want the lighting to look over these. And I can also spoof these up. I can enlarge them, make them bigger, and then add more details to them if necessary. But I like to get this stage done first. This is the first stage I do. That way, if I don't like it, I can always easily erase it and change it because I didn't put much time into it. Rather, if I were to sit here and make him bigger and draw more details, like to show that he's in a suit or something like that, that kind of level of detail, and then it would have to erase, so that would be really a big bummer. But if I do it all at this size, really tiny, and look how much of the page is taken up. It's not very big. If I go to actual pixels, that's how big it is on actual pixels. This is if it were to be viewed online, which it will be, but they're still relatively small. And then maybe I could even do it this size even to add the other details I want to add. I don't really need them that big, but anyway, if I wanted to add color to it, maybe a little bit bigger, I don't know. Just depends on how the brushes worked. But I would maybe add just like quick lighting idea, or I can just express to him like, hey, I definitely want this dark. I've already given my idea of how I kind of want it to look. I kind of want to have that Blood the Last Vampire, the Japanese animation look to it, but that has a very American look to it too. That is, the facial features and stuff aren't all pointy like a lot of Japanese animation. Their facial features and everything are much more Americanized, but I really love the Japanese animation and how they handle shadows and lighting and stuff like that. And that movie is a really good example. If you haven't seen it, it's just an awesome movie. It's called Blood the Last Vampire, I think that's what it's called, its full title. Not Blood Plus. I don't like that TV show. This is a movie that was based on, and it's really, really good. Not the live action. The live action is pretty good too, but the Japanese animation is just brilliant. Just really good artwork, really smooth animations, really good cinematography, really good lighting, which is part of cinematography. It's just awesome. And so I want this lighting to be really dramatic in this trailer. Now, if all works out well, and one of these animators I'm working with gives me a good deal per episode, I might start a mini series episode 1 minute each or so, 1 to 3 minutes for each episode. I'll probably just do like a minute episode because of cost wise, and because animation is really expensive, and I just don't have the time to do it myself. It'd be kind of cool to do animations, but I hate doing animations anyway. I hate drawing a bunch of frames and in between frames and all that stuff. Keyframes is okay. I don't mind it too much. Anyway, so I just don't have the time to do all that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to like make courses and stuff anymore. But I think it'd be really cool to do like a little mini series. And what do you guys think of that? It's a really, really cool story. It's a very different vampire story. As you can already tell here, this is a statue that mysteriously showed up in a museum. Well, it was mysteriously dropped off by a man, and no one knows who the man is. And they really liked the statue, so they kept it in their museum. But no one knows where the statue came from. And in this particular scene, what happens is right after she says that, I'll just kind of read it to you real quickly, since I have time to draw the rest of them out for you. So after she falls on her butt, next thing we hear is a sound of rock breaking, and then we have a close-up of Michael's chest cracking open, and then we have a pitch. The next image is that Michael is throwing his arms back, and his chest puffed out, and the stones are flying. So you broke away the statue. So there's actually a living person underneath that statue. And then we have a close-up of the man scared, a close-up of Julie crawling back because remember she was on the ground still. Then Michael walking with his wings out, and then a close-up of Michael and his fangs grow and his eyes turn red. Anyway, I'm not gonna give you the rest of it, but just just watch out for the trailer. It's gonna be really cool. And this is the trailer for the novel, and the novel should be out soon too. I'm working on an idea manga for the book cover. I don't know if they'll actually use it. They usually go with their own covers anyway. But I figured, what the hell, might as well try to get my artwork on it. It'd be kind of cool. But they'll probably just go with their own book cover. But anyway, so yeah, that's what publishers do. They just like take your work and make some edits. And so of course they need your permission on certain edits. If you can't come to a resolution, then they'll just like, all right, we're not going to publish it. So hopefully they don't want any story edits or anything like that too major, just grammar and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, so it's a really cool story. It's when I had it online about 4 years ago, maybe something like that, 5 years ago. And when it was online, I didn't have my girlfriend's help at the time. So when it was online, though, I put it on fan fiction, I think, something like that. I've recently had put it back up in its new incarnation, but I don't know, fan fiction's kind of changed a lot. I think that was the site it used to be on. Anyway, it was on one of these sites, and it got so many views. It was amazing. I think within a short period of time, I was posting a chapter like because I already had it all finished, so I was just posting them like every other day, posting a new chapter, posting a new chapter, posting a new chapter. And by the time I had the whole thing up, I had like 1,000 to 2,000 viewers, something like that were viewing it. And what was cool about it is it showed you which chapters were read. So it showed you how many chapters were read. So first it showed you, okay, you had, how many people read it in general, like how many people clicked on the initial chapter, like chapter 1. And then it showed you stats of how many people read each chapter. So like it'll say chapter 1 has 1,000 views, chapter 2 has 800 views, chapter 3 has 500 views. That shows you that, hey, if I have 2,000 people that checked out, I think it might have been like 10,000 people actually. Anyway, let's just go with that because I'm pretty sure that's what it was. If I had 10,000 people that viewed the book in general, that means that they at least viewed chapter 1. If chapter 2 tells me only 9,000 people viewed it, that means that of those 10,000 people, only 9,000 of them viewed chapter 2. And some of them could just came in and viewed chapter 2 and never even viewed chapter 1. But it was pretty consistent, 10,000, and it stayed all the way down. I didn't start losing people until about halfway through the book, but even then I only lost a very small percentage. I think if I remember correctly, there was like 8,000 people that read every chapter. That's crazy. It was like a huge amount of percent. It might even been more, but I remember the percentage was like above. It was either 80% or above that actually read the entire thing. That's crazy for this type of site that it was on, to have that much people read it through like that. And that was in a short period of time too. So some of them might have went on to read it all. I don't know. Someone scared me and said, hey, you might never get your book published if you leave it all published online like that. So I took it off. And I'd even try to publish it for several years to make sure that any like remaining remembrance of it would be gone. And then I tried publishing it, and then sure enough, I got a publisher. And yeah, so and also I reworked it too. After being with my girlfriend, I kind of wanted to get the viewpoint of a younger female, and to have that in the book to where it reflects younger female more. Yeah, so um, stay tuned, guys. I don't know what else to say. So hopefully you guys found this helpful about how I storyboard, and hopefully you guys will enjoy the book and maybe check it out when it comes out. It's only going to be Kindle versions will be released first as a proof of concept, and then if that shows itself, this is how the company works. If that shows itself to be good, then they said they would go ahead and put it in paperback. So yeah, so stay tuned. I think they're going to have it at a price at like $2.99, something like that, for the starting for the Kindle price of it. But yeah, so as you can tell, Michael is the vampire, and I'll give you a little hint here about the statue. So the statue is a way that these particular species of vampire hibernate. They kind of almost like go into a cocoon, and that cocoon is like a statue, and it protects them while it's like very, very hard material, and it protects them while they're in their like sleep state. And they need to sleep every so often, otherwise they go crazy. Because if you're just constantly alive and constantly awake, you go insane. So they go into like this deep sleep, and it kind of rejuvenates their mind and everything. But I'll give you another hint, maybe. No, I'll leave that if you want to read the. No, maybe I don't know. I think it's in one of the things. I can't remember. But basically, these vampires are not from planet Earth. So yeah, they were sent here, and they were sent here actually, and that's why they're in their stasis. I won't say how many there are, nothing like that, but it's a really, really interesting story. It's got some romance in it, but it's also like a thriller conspiracy story as well. Maybe I should just read to you the little blurb I wrote. It's kind of cool. Actually, no, instead, what I'll do is chapter one is up for reading, and I think chapter two, I'm allowed to post a couple chapters of it. They said that was fine. So chapter one and two right now I think are up on Webook. So if you go to Webook and type in Bending Nature, it'll show up. That's webook.com, webook.com, Webook, as in, we, W-E. And then just type in Bending Nature and it should show up. Maybe if I have time, I'll go ahead and link to it as well in the description. All right, guys. And if I don't link to it and you guys can't find it, and you really want to find it, just let me know. And then I'll throw up a link there for you guys to click on. All right, that's it. I don't know what else to say, so thanks for watching.